Hi folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report. I want to tell you about material in fishing lures, and I've mentioned it in passing before, but I think it's really important that I pass this on to you. There's companies now, that are using a type of soft plastic that is almost, you can't hurt it. It won't tear. It is so strong. You can stretch it. And different companies have a different name for it. Apparently, they feel that this is their own special blend. But Z-Man uses, and they call it Elaztech, Elaztech, Elaztech. And then I noticed that another company out there, fishing tackle company, Savage Gear is the name of the company. They have these soft plastic lures, and they call the material, they use Duratech. But this material is fascinating. Number one, it's very, very soft. You wouldn't think something this soft could be this tough, but it is. The other thing is it floats. So these companies, what they do is they inject salt and different scents in it so that it sort of stabilizes it, and as it sinks down in the water, and the only way it's going to sink still, even with the salt, it's not going to sink. But when you put a little jig head on, it will go down. But this material is amazing. So let me tell you how it's affected me. Number one, they make it in different little type of organisms looking things that are what fish eat. So they make little crayfish and little salamanders and other little things that really they don't have a natural name to them. One of them is called Bug Z. And the Bug Z looks like a little bug in the water, and that's made by Z-Man. But I really wanted to tell you about this because I've caught more fish using these little lures than almost anything I've used in years and years. And here's the other bonus. I went out last night on the Grass River, and it's the first chance I've had to really fish for a few weeks because of all the tournaments that are coming, and I've really become busy. But I needed to get back to my roots. I needed to get out there on the water, let the water sap around me. You know, it's such a peaceful thing. So I ended up last night catching at least 30 smallmouth. And I'm not exaggerating. I probably caught more. None of these fish were big. Most of them were 10 inches, 9 inches, in that range. There were probably 5 or 6 of them that were a foot long, and 1 or 2 that was about 14 inches. Now, a 14-inch smallmouth in these rivers is an incredible fish. But, and here's the but, here's the thing I really wanted you to be aware of. I caught every one of these fish on the same lure. Not the same type of lure, the very same lure. One of these Elaztech, because this was a Z-Man bait, it's called a tickler, and it's like a little tube. It's 2 inches long or something like that. It's not very big at all. And no matter how many fish, and by the way, I also caught a muskie on it last night. Wasn't a huge muskie, it was a smallish muskie, but that muskie came out of the water. It must have come out of the water 3 feet right in front of me, danced in the air and came back down. I didn't even know I had a muskie on at the time. I thought I had a giant bass, and up this muskie came. When he came down, the lure came out of his mouth, so I didn't have to handle him. But 30 plus fish on the same lure, and it's the same lure that seems to be so effective. The color I was using was sort of a green and chartreuse. I don't know how natural that is, but boy, the fish really went for it. I almost think that any color would have worked. And I also think that maybe any of the other little soft plastic baits, whether they were shaped like a frog, shaped like a crayfish, shaped like this, I'm not sure that the shape is as important as just the size. By using a tiny little 1/20th ounce jig head, that's what I use. I don't snag it much. The current can kind of take it naturally. It's just a wonderful way to fish, and it's incredibly effective. So if you see something that's made of Duratech, it says it right on it, Duratech or Elaztech. This is that special type of plastic. And just also remember, you can't You can't put this with any other kind of plastic. You can't mix it with your other soft plastic lures. It'll melt them. You can't put it in a plastic tackle box because it'll melt that plastic. It'll just form a gooey substance. It's awful. But as long as you keep it in the package it came in, they'll last for years and years, and boy, do they ever catch fish. Until next time, folks, this is Don Meisner with the North Country Fishing Report.